Hey, I could listen to that music. I love
I
it.
like that music.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I could rock on and on all night for that kind of music. I'm telling you.
Makes you want to get up and dance.
Yes, it does.
Well, welcome
That's awesome.
everyone. Good to see you all. Krystal couldn't be with us this evening. She's broken down on the side of the road with Joey. They're trying to get transportation to get home and take care of things. And she was bummed about it, sends her love to everybody and wishes she could be here. But she is here in spirit. So
Yes.
she said she bought ice cream too. I said, dinner.
Oh, I knew it.
Dinner.
I said it.
I said, whip out the spoons and start eating.
Or run it back into the store for a while.
Take it back to the store. Maybe they'd give her a refund or something.
Well,
There you
there's stuff at Walmart, so they actually
Yeah.
could go in
Yeah.
and buy spoons if they have the money.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. So let me just thank you for coming, Paula. Thanks
you.
for joining our panel tonight. It should be an interesting discussion. Thank you, Brenda, for coming. How's your hand? Better?
I'm doing better. Yes.
Healed, all healed up? Yeah,
It doesn't
look
look
at
as
that.
swollen as it did.
Yeah, it's still swollen.
You still have to supervise the gardening effort.
Yeah.
It's the wrong finger though. I'm sorry.
Aw.
And Trina, thank you for offering it. I think your cord is doing that thing again where it's rubbing your hair, Trina. or
Is that
something.
mine?
It might be. It
Oh,
might
yeah,
be.
it's you.
Yep.
Yep.
It happens.
There we go.
Yeah, but Trina stepped up because we had four shows up in the air with everybody's scheduling. You know, it's that time of year. All kinds of things are going on, and folks. So there's 4 different shows, and it was like everybody backed out. Oh, there goes that sound again.
See, it wasn't nothing to do with the headphones.
Let's see. Let me mute myself. Okay, that's Brenda. There's Trina. Okay, so one by one, Jules, unmute.
I'll do it. I've got you.
All right.
Yep.
So that's Jules. Okay, Paula, unmute.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I am now unmuted.
All right, Brenda.
Yep.
Ah, it's Brenda. You got a little bit of a problem there? Aw. Yeah, I don't know. Check your connection with your mic, your earbuds. Is it in tight to the computer? Sometimes a loose connection will do that. There.
Ooh,
That's
now we
better.
we can't hear
Okay,
her
now
now.
unmute yourself.
I'm unmuted.
Okay,
There we
you
go.
go. There you go. There was just a little glitch.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you some new earbuds.
Dang technology.
I know it.
Those dang earbuds. But anyway, I was in the middle of thanking Trina for stepping up and offering to do this tonight. It just was synchronicity because she's like, "Oh, well, we could talk about seed planting, and we could talk about the lunar and solar eclipses and the spirals." And I'm like, "Spirals? Spirals?" Because
Like spirals.
I've been getting downloads about spirals and drawing them and getting messages, and it's related to the trees, the visions of going back. I had, so we can talk about that. And all of a sudden there was this click, and this video series I've been watching too, to help make sense of things. So we have a little video that we'll share out too when we're playing. So hello, David Castle and Lucky Stone, Truth Seeker.
Mary Wins.
Go ahead, Lori.
Mary Wins. Mandy
Hi,
Moon.
Mary.
Grandpa Brian 420. Good to see you. Isby 963. Ken, so good to see you. I hear you're on Facebook now. I'm gonna have to invite you.
Who Ken is? Ken is
Johan Dancing Gypsy.
Oh.
Good to see ya.
John.
Michelle Canham Free. McFree. Good to see you.
McFree.
A Gates. Good to have you with us. Thank you for joining us.
You guys hear me okay?
Yes. Yeah. Truth
This
Seeker,
is
always a
very-
pleasure. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Well, folks, we're a little late, but that'll give folks time to stroll
mosey
in on
on
a
in.
Friday night, a late Friday night, right? Hi, Janine. So, Brenda, sweetheart, I didn't get a chance to hook up with you, but I'm sure you have a message for us tonight.
I do, and it's don't you ever give up hope. Not today, not tomorrow. You were born with an infinite imagination. If one dream is shattered, pick up what pieces you can and create a new dream. Yes, reinventing yourself takes grit, but you've got that too.
Mm.
I love it.
Ooh.
That's Margaret B.
Beautiful.
Moss.
Of course.
Yeah.
Gotta love that gal.
Margaret
Yeah.
B. Moss.
Full of
she's-
wisdom. Mhm.
She's the best. She's
Yeah.
the
I
best.
know.
Yeah.
I love her.
And
Beautiful.
thank you. Thank you for my soaps.
Oh.
Yay.
Oh,
I got
nice.
some soaps,
Oh,
and they're
Oh, you're gonna
great.
love it.
Yeah, and Krystal in
Right.
the lavender packages, lavender
Oh.
trees
Oh,
That's
yeah.
great.
for that
Did you
I
get your
haven't got
chocolates?
those.
thing to put the chocolates. No, I didn't get
Yeah,
chocolate.
she put chocolates in mine. I was like, yeah. Some dark dove chocolate. I was like, nice
No.
touch, Krystal.
No.
That's good.
And Robert, I got the shirt for Nina's.
Ah, I
Oh,
thought
yeah.
so. Okay, the Anna
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Anna Karana.
But I
I
couldn't
almost
be
said
in the,
anaconda, but I'm like, that's
I
not
couldn't
right.
join them last week on Nina's because things came up here, as you know. So
Yeah, you're a busy
I was
gal.
dealing with some issues here at the home base. So
Yeah.
Wow.
well, I'll tell you what happened here is, and Paula was in on this too because I was sharing out with her. I got this dream, and I think I shared it with just about all of you. But I was actually working in my garden, and so it was like a daydream kind of thing.
Mm.
And because I lost time, I lost a huge chunk of
Whoa.
time. That doesn't
Wow.
usually happen. So, but I was out in my garden, taking care of the plants, and I was in my greenhouse, and I was sitting in a chair because I had been mixing soil to regenerate the soil from the old pots. And I must have either dozed off or just had one of those vision quests. And there was a rumbling. The ground began to shake, and I was in a forest somewhere with these really, really tall trees, and I was coming across a clearing, and I looked out, and it was all desolate. But yet behind me, there was this rich forest, and the trees were growing very quickly. They were branches were forming, limbs were forming, and the trees out towards the desert edge, they were arguing with the trunks. And the trees were swaying back and forth, and the nice limbs were growing in one direction towards the sun. The other limbs had cut themselves off and were falling and dropping to the ground and disintegrating within a matter of seconds. So as the dream progressed, all of that desert field, one by one, a little seed plantling would come up, and the trees that were in the forest behind me just kept dropping more seeds. And new life was so. As I sat there, the whole world's surface was transforming. It was terraforming itself. It was regenerating itself, and everything else, all the cities and all the technology, and I saw office buildings, and everything was just going away. And yet, nature was taking over, like nature wins. The animals were running, and the animals were talking to each other, and I was just like sitting there, like getting this whole thing. And when I finally came out of it, I'm like, what was that about? And I felt that presence, Brenda. I hope this doesn't offend you in any way, but I felt Brian's presence, because that's when he comes to me, is when I'm having questions or concerns or visions, or I'm upset about something, or the plants aren't working right, and I felt that energy, and I knew it was him right away. And I'm like, brother, what was that? Kind of, So as I'm working, coming into my mind, the last email you sent. I'm like, the last email, what? So I went back to my emails, I went back to my text messages, and it was the second chapter of a book that I had sent him that he wanted to read to everybody. And it's called The Visible and Invisible World of God. And I said, oh, boy, I still have that, because I was the only one that had it on my Kindle. And I was sending him one chapter at a time. And the last one I sent him, he never responded, and we know why. So I was like, how does that connect to what I'm thinking? So I looked it up, and I shared with Lori, and like, oh my God, because it does cover what's coming up with this shift.
Mm-hmm.
which goes with the dream of seeing two planets, or the Earth actually dividing and one part falling away and out of my sight and the other part flourishing,
Right.
reconnecting with nature.
Mm-hmm.
So it's what Brian wanted to delve into and discuss more. So I mentioned it to Trina, and I'm like, maybe we can do something about it. In the meantime, some of you were sending me a video about this split.
Wow. No synchronicities.
3 different people in the Soul Tribe sent me 3 different videos on the same subject. So I picked the one that I thought was the most succinct that we could work with. And I thought what we would do here tonight is play it, the first segment of it, which is about roughly 20 to 23 minutes, in combination with Trina. Now, Trina came up with this idea of let's do this show. So this is really Trina saying, oh my gosh, this all makes sense. And she has these journal entries that go way back that she kept every single one of them. So we've put them together into a presentation for Trina to go through her downloads that she's been getting, because I think she's the best one to explain all this. I'm still taking it all in and feeling it and trying to make sense of it. It's pretty deep for someone like me, just starting to understand, because I have been resisting certain perceptions that some have had because I don't understand it or can't fully grasp it. Because the only thing I ever connect with is the source, a representation of source, which is the Krystal spirit and Mary. And so I have these guides that I connect with, but there's many others out there, and I'm starting to accept that now, and not go, you're crazy, I'm not listening to this. I'm starting to understand it, and there is something going on here in the universe behind this, and so this will help get us there with our understanding of what's really going on. So I'm not the only one. I know I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
So Trina, I don't know if you want to kick it off with the first few minutes of this video so that it'll show you why I went to Trina. It'll show you why I went to Trina. Trina will know intuitively when to say stop, freeze, let's talk about this part of it. And Trina has her own diagrams that she could show us. Do you want to start it that way, Trina, or do you want to give it a preface of your own?
Yeah. No, let the video roll so people can get a foundation.
Okay.
They'll really understand. That's what happened for me, so I get it. All right. Let me cue it up.
Thanks, ladies.
Here we go.
Okay, this is a presentation I've just put together called Time Wave Spirals. It was actually an article that I wrote recently, and I thought I'd put it into like a video slideshow type thing, because the information it contains is quite, very interesting, and it relates to something that very important that's happening right now. So without further ado, let's begin. Okay, so what you're looking at here is a Cathara grid template, and it's actually a series of Cathara grid templates that spiral out from the center. If you imagine this shape, it starts off tiny in the center, and then it goes through a series of 45-degree increment shifts. And each time it does the shift, you can actually, the 12 points is at the top here. Imagine the blue line. It will connect to the 12 point as the time wave spirals outwards. Here, 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 and here. So it grows in size. This is literally the template that external creation is based upon. And the geometry of this is defined by a creational code which exists at the center. Now, we've got the Krystal spiral, which is based on the Christ code, first creation, eternal life program. And we've got the Fibonacci spiral, which is a fallen spiral based on the Metatronic code program. Now, on this planet, for a very long time, we've actually had both creational programs running simultaneously. Now, each of these creational programs create a completely separate reality that with its own geometry and physics and laws and stuff like that, and they're actually overlapping on top of each other. We're actually experiencing both of these creational code programs on top of each other at the same time, which has caused many problems on this planet. Now, what's interesting is this point here is where the two spirals will cross. Now, if you actually Google like the numbers of the Fibonacci sequence and follow the number, this spiral would be a representation of the numbers of the Fibonacci spiral. On the Fibonacci spiral, you actually get the number 144, which would be at this point here. Now, the Krystal spiral also has a number progression sequence, and it also has 144 on it as well. You'd have to see how it was actually calculated. I've done another separate post on that, but the number 144 is basically on the Krystal spiral as well. And interestingly, 144 is the point where they both cross. Now, and basically this time where they're going to cross is actually in November 2023. So we're here somewhere in terms of time, because this is like a time spiral. So we're somewhere in this period here, just before that they cross. We've got about 2 years before they cross. Now, what happens is when they cross, the Fibonacci spiral, which is based on the fallen Metatronic code, it's designed to grab on this red line, this Fibonacci spiral. It's designed to grab on to the Krystal spiral and prevent the Krystal spiral from connecting to these points, and it tries to pull the Krystal spiral down and to adopt the Fibonacci spiral, which basically pulls it away from the 12 point, which is actually it's actually the center point of the next level up. But basically, it tries to pull it down into fall alignment, right? Which is not going to happen, but that's what it intends to do. Okay, so I'll just put this little bit of text up. So on the 8th and 9th of November 2023, the organic Krystal spiral time wave separates from the inorganic fallen Metatronic spiral time wave. So you have until then to decide which time wave you are aligning with. If you align with the descending time wave, which is the Fibonacci spiral, after the snap point of the trumpet pulses seal cycle, which is a whole series of nasty sort of energetic pulses that are happening at the moment, then I'm unsure what your options would be. So it's probably best to decide now. So you can literally choose which of these reality fields that you want to align with and follow. So at this point here, you can either go with the Krystal spiral and follow the natural Christic ascension path, or if you get sort of locked onto the Fibonacci spiral, you will experience a different reality. Now, the further these get away from each other, it's my belief that each reality will eventually start phasing out of each other's perceptual range. So it's important to choose which of these reality fields you align with now. So what's happening on the planet now,
Teresa.
in terms of all the craziness that's happening?
Yes, go ahead and stop.
They're trying to lower the
You want to pause
frequency
it?
of the planet.
Here you go.
That is so profound, because while I'm watching that spiral, it is the strangest thing is I'm seeing the red ship and the blue ship.
Yeah.
And the red line is root chakra, and the blue is like our first higher level form of our chakra systems, which is throat.
Yep.
So
Right.
that's our ability to communicate and speak. And what are they doing right now? They're putting the bandos on the face.
So it's red pill,
Exactly.
blue, red pill or blue pill.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
However, remember, I have to state this because I saw the blue pill, red pill coming up. Remember, the word lies to us. They lie. Everything that comes out of their face is a lie. They say red pill wakes up and blue pill bad. But I see red pill bad blue pill good. So let's get that straight right now.
Oh yeah, the
Well, it
blue.
has to be because it matches the energy of the principle of the color of the chakra.
Yes.
And red is love, lust, passion, rage, fire. It's fire. And then
Right.
blue is calm. Blue is communication. Blue is vocalization. Blue is tone, sound, creation. I speak, therefore I create. It absolutely makes sense when you look at the foundations of them. What if this though? If this is a divine merging, because you know in the Bible it always says, "And the two shall become one." What if these two? Yeah, what if the two genetic spirals of our DNA is going to collapse into one, and the two shall become one, and we're going to become a new creation through this magnificent ending of this epoch that we're experiencing? And what if? Yeah, I just, it's like, I keep seeing a potential of them going, the two will go into one. So,
the word hybrid kept coming to my mind. If these are representing two spirals of creation, one being Fibonacci, the other being Krystal, then why can't they eventually merge at this point where it says 144? When they hit that cross point, and why? I mean, there's still going to be an apart, because there's going to be those that can't. He goes on to explain why he thinks that there's those that won't be able to stay in that merge.
What if blue ship is going into the original genetic code template, which would be a one-stranded DNA with 12 holographic functions, which creates 144,000.
He is going to, yes.
And then the red ship might be adding a strand to their genetics because they are hybridizing, and they're going into more of the technological existence. So that could be it going into even a third position of a DNA helix. So with that, we could be looking at that where the two are going to become one, and then the two that want to experience the red shift and go into the more material transhumanistic adventures that they want to go forward on, they might be going into a third stranded DNA situation. This transition.
This explains to me.
Says red star Kachina, blue star Kachina.
That's why some people feel that they're on a prison planet, and others don't feel that they're on a prison planet. It's those two different paths that everybody's on, and that's why there's so much division between the two.
And we only have until November 2023 to figure out which one we're going to be on.
Exactly. And this is going to dictate what happens the rest of your existence.
Yes.
This is the path you're going to be on. So important.
Go ahead, Trina.
What if this is going to be a new creation point, and it's going to be based also too, because we're looking at the spirals of creation, but we also need to look at the golden ratio and the sounds of creation, because our do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, those are the 7 pitches, and the ratio of our world right now, this golden ratio is 1.618. What if those base levels are starting to shift? Like pieces of energy are going to start vibrating at different frequencies, and chains of atom are going to start to wind up and form different strings and different DNA codes and all kinds of different things through a different pitch. I see a shifting of a sound that we're going to be coming into, and it's going to be something that to me, when I saw the vision of the bifurcation, for my experience, I saw the organic sound of the earth being restored, and the whole earth made a song. And it was absolutely mind-blowing. You literally knew the flowers, and they knew you. Like, intimately.
The trees were talking to each other. They were nourishing each other through that underground network. They were talking with other plant life.
Yes.
You could actually hear a tone, and we were vibrating with them. And it's like, isn't that back to the way things were when we first, with our first intent?
That we're going to sing a new song.
Listen to this, guys. This is from the Nag Hammadi scriptures.
Okay.
Through Sodom and Gomorrah. In Sodom, a new generation appeared. through the seed of Seth. This generation appeared through Idolkala, for by the word she gave birth to the truth and the justice. This is the source of the seed of life eternal, which belongs to those who endure through the knowledge of where they came from. This is the great and the incorruptible generation that has come through 3 worlds into this world. They have come through sexual intercourse, the new creation, the new clay of us. Through forethought, Seth has instituted the holy baptism that surpasses heaven by means of the incorruptible one, begotten by the Word, the living God. And that also, a lot of people would associate that with Jesus, with whom the great Seth has been clothed. So what if this is the true name of actual Jesus? Because I've always said be careful with the Jesus trap. What if that's the true name of that? And that's why it's a mystery, and you can get screwed up with that. So he nailed down the powers of the 13 realms, and this is what he came to establish. Those who can reach these levels, they will go in and out, and they are equipped with the armor of the knowledge of truth, with incorruptible and invincible powers. These are what we naturally, organically have, and we have forgotten how to use them. And it is coming through the access of our 12 gates. And, when you look at the Kabbalah tree of life, what is the fastest route to the path? One of the fastest routes is 369. So you go 3, 6, 9 instead of bouncing through the tree 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're not zigzagging and crossing. You're literally going straight up the tree. 3, 6, 9. 9 is completion. 9 opens the gate to 10, 11, and 12. And this is where we've been cut off because we've been existing in the red ship, the red spiral. And when you can reconnect to the blue, this is where you've activated up to your first highest chakra, which is sound, creation with your words, and vocalization. And it's a peaceful, healing energy. It's also a representation of the sky, the color blue. The sky is the limit. So this is the first level of the higher parts of your vibrational abilities. And once you get to the 6th, that's when you can get all the way to the top, which is the 9th, and go all the way to the higher self aspects of you, which are completely operating with the earth, operating your body, operating everything. And for whatever reason, we're getting ready to go through a bifurcation where 2 things are going to go their own ways. But at first, we're sitting together. And I think the sitting together and the choosing through of which way people are going, I really think we're in right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's continue on for the next few minutes, and we'll pick back up because a lot of this is going to vibe with what Trina just said.
Into lower frequencies of consciousness, because they're trying to secure as many people of the quantum of the life field, if you like, in order to follow this Fibonacci spiral. So that's not good at all. Okay, so this is the nasty mess that causes the Fibonacci spiral. This shape here is referred to as Metatron's cube, and as you can see, it's based on hex geometry, number 6, because it's got 6 balls. And you can actually see here it forms like a hexagram. And this here is called the flower of life, which is basically all as this is. It's just another face of this fallen creational code program. So imagine a circle being 360 degrees. Now, what actually happens in the Metatron's cube template, you have 6 increments of 60 degrees to make the 360 degrees. So each one of these increments is a 60-degree increment. Okay, so that's one of the ways that you can tell a fallen template by its 60-degree increment. And if you look on the Flower of Life, again, you can see that it works on 60-degree increments. And basically it's 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is just a pattern that is drawn over this. It's one and the same. So I've said Metatron's cube is a face of the Metatronic code, and to put it bluntly, is fallen black hole creational mechanics based on false finite inorganic sextant hex geometry. So if you want to be on the up train, i.e. the Christic ascension path, you would be well advised to avoid Metatron's cube, this, the Flower of Life, or as we call it, the Daisy of Death, the Golden Mean, and the Fibonacci spiral. These are all fallen mechanics and part of the descending inorganic time wave. So if you don't believe any of this is real, I'm going to show you something now which I've seen recently, which was it's quite amazing actually. Well, not this, it's the next slide, but this is just to show you the geometry of Metatron's cube, the fallen Metatron's cube, Metatronic code, and that you can use it to create shapes, geometric shapes. I believe that these are called the Platonic solids, and these are just geometric shapes that are able to be created on top of the fallen Metatron's cube. So I watched a film at the weekend with my children called Soul, and I don't know if you've seen it. It's a good film to watch with the kids, but when I was watching it, I noticed some very interesting things that were in the film, which I'll show you next. But without spoiling the story, basically it's about this fella here, and he's a jazz musician, and he gets this gig to play in a band. It's his lifelong dream, but unfortunately, before he gets to play in the band, he dies, and his soul goes to a place called the Great Before. So as soon as he gets there, he meets this woman in the Great Before, and she says that the Great Before is the holding pattern before life. Now this woman is holding a clipboard with the fallen Flower of Life, Daisy of Death template, which was quite interesting. That immediately got me to start snapping pictures off the film as I was watching it. So this woman in the Great Before, she says that she's the divine template holding things together, and in the movie she morphs into her true form, which, as you can see with these angles here, in the way that the circles overlap, these are all 60-degree angles. So basically what they're implying in the movie is that the divine template holding things together is the fallen Metatronic code. Right, now you've got to remember, Hollywood is just they put these things in these movies because they know what they mean, and they know the significance of them, because they're all fallen angelics. So that's what they do. Okay, so in the Great Before, basically what they do is they give out templates and personalities to souls before they incarnate into a body on planet Earth. This is like the story of the movie. And as you can see, they're all like attending this seminar to decide which soul template they're going to get. And lo and behold, yep, they're giving them all Daisy of Death templates. Now, just to show you, that's what this is. This is Metatron's cube, the Metatronic code, fallen creational, artificial life, finite program. Well, that's what they're suggesting everybody gets, which is not true at all. So in the film, they have these little cute characters, all innocent, and basically before they incarnate down on the planet, they all get stamped with the Metatronic code. Marvelous. Oh my God, I can't believe some of these things. Okay, so I just found this image online. I thought it was quite funny. I wasn't even looking for it, honestly. It just popped up, so I thought I'd put it in the slide. Yeah, disobey, not disobey in any negative way, just don't follow what they're saying. learn that there's a different way of doing it. There's a different template, and pay no attention to all the rubbish that they put out. Well, it's actually not rubbish. It's actually a real thing. But if you knew what it was, you wouldn't consciously choose it.
Right.
Okay, so we've seen the negative. Now, this is what I consider to be the positive. This is eternal life creation. This is the Ruche God seed, also known as the Christ code, Kryst, the Christ code. And this is based on octant geometry. So instead of having the 6 balls round the center, you actually have 8. So if you start here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you have 8 balls around the center, and you actually have like 4 in the center. So it creates 12 spheres and the center point as well. So if you just remember this shape, what it actually is these cells here, these 3 cells together, they form something called a trivector. And what they are, they're phase cells. So one of these cells will be a male positive, and the other one will be a female negative, speaking in terms of polarity. And what happens is these 2 cells will phase together. They pull together to become one, and then they pull into this cell here, and then they pull into the center. And the same thing happens with here. You've got a positive and a negative. They phase together to become one, pull into this cell, and then pull into the center. Now, the whole thing breathes like a living, eternal life circulatory system, where when all the cells pull together and pull into the center, it creates a process called backflow return, which will open up a conduit, if you like, to God source consciousness field itself. And when all the cells come back out again, they replenish themselves with a brand new set of quantum, like frequency, from God source consciousness field. So in order to have a living eternal life system, you've got to have this arrangement of cells where they can phase together and create the backflow return. If you mess around with the number of spheres, then it stops the cells being able to phase and create backflow return with God source consciousness field. Okay, this is the same thing, just shown in a little bit more detail. This is actually what's referred to as a Cosmea cluster, which is quite a high level of creation. So where are we? Yeah, now, if you remember the positions of those points, just let me tell you what, just let me go back. Just imagine, remember the locations of these points here, and then look at these yellow circles. These are actually, they're called Ruche scepters. And this whole structure is something called the Unici, which is the highest level in external creation. And basically, it's the Ruche pattern, what we've just been looking at. And inside this Ruche pattern, it's like a template that defines how external creation outpictures. So you can see once this template is in place, you can see it down steps into like sort of micro versions. This is like the macrocosm, the big thing, and it will create microcosms in each quadrant. So if we like zoom into this quadrant here and then go to the next slide, that would be the next level down. This level is called the Akasha Christos. Okay, and again, it's the same thing. And then you can zoom in again. It's like a fractal. You can keep zooming into each quadrant, and then you'll get pretty much the same looking template. And it keeps going. All start off at God source consciousness field, and it'll step down to like a universe. Then it'll step down to a galaxy. Then it'll step down to a solar system. Then step down to a planet. Then step down to a person, and all the little templates that exist on a planet. And then it even steps down further into like atoms and things like that. So these are literally this Ruche Christ code. It actually creates the structure of the reality that we walk around in. Okay. So this planet has long had two competing creation templates: the original Eternal Life Crys code template and the fallen finite Metatronic code template. This has been a big problem here and in the entire Procyon Milky Way galaxy for billions of years. A lot of nature here has actually been following the dominant Metatronic code template geometry for a very long time, which is why you can see it in nature in things like seashells and snowflakes and things like that. If you just Google like images of snowflakes, you can see that it's following the Metatronic code template, i.e. Increments of 60 degrees. So one of the biggest lessons is that just because something is seen in nature does not mean it's natural. It only seems that way if you're unaware of both creational templates and how they both outpicture into nature's geometry. So a template has male positive and female negative spheres that are designed to phase and create open backflow return with God source consciousness field, as I've explained just a little moment ago. In fallen hex geometry, it's impossible to create the required trivector phase cell, which is the three cells together that phase, breathing process in each quadrant of the template. Thus, the spheres can't phase together and create open backflow return. The Eternal Life Crys code template is based on octant geometry and allows for 12 spheres, a trivector each quadrant,
12
to phase correctly to replenish its quantum through backflow return eternal life phasing, which again would be, this is a trivector here, and these two cells would phase together, spark, pull into the center, and create backflow return in an eternal life breathing process. Okay, the Metatronic code is designed to break the Crys code eternal life template status and prevent it from phasing. It will eventually cause your natural Crys code template to enter something called molecular compaction and become disconnected from the natural structures of God source consciousness field around it. Thus, you are in Metatronic fall alignment status. There are ways to pull back from this due to certain events that are occurring now, but shortly these two opposing time wave templates will separate, and whatever train ascension path you are on will be an important and pivotal decision that will affect your entire existence going forward. Okay, so here we can see both of the opposing templates side by side. You've got the Ruche Godseed Crys code based on octant geometry, and you've got the Metatronic code based on fallen sextant hex geometry. Basically what happens is, because this has now been changed into a hex geometry, the cells can no longer phase together because the trivector phase cells are no longer there. So the phasing that normally takes place to create the backflow return with God source consciousness field can now no longer take place in this template. So therefore, this becomes a fallen finite template, and it only has the quantum of energy in it at the point when it became fallen in this structure. So it will eventually burn out its own quantum, and the only way to keep this structure going is for it to feed vampirically off living Crys code templates, which is what's been happening on this planet for a very long time. You've got like whole soul groups of people, fallen angelic beings, who are running this program, and they use this planet as a giant energetic feeding system. So they're actually using this code to feed on this planet, like suck all the energy out of the planet and out of the life field. And it's been going on for way too long. Okay, so
let's go ahead and freeze this here, Lori.
The number of freeze cells prevents the.
In fact, we can actually get out of it now because it's getting into another whole part of it.
That is so profound. I mean, that is literally, because that's literally what I literally wrote that.
Yes.
Correct.
Let's bring up Trina's slides here, if you can, Lori.
That is literally what I saw, was that the conversion into this form of matter was completely stolen from the organic pattern of organic life, and it was done through molecular, and then that symbol that we're looking at with the expression of the 6, that is literally what they're showing you. That is the false pattern, and the reason we have that pattern was they were showing me that this was a new creation, but it was created through stealing from the original. So
yeah, which one are you looking at right now, Trina? We can
I am
advance
looking.
this.
I don't know if you have this one, but what I was seeing was this is part of the one you have. It's how we fell, knowing wisdom and thought. To understand anything, you must be able to have a thought, and a thought about something. Nothing exists without this. So wisdom and awareness was innate to man. This is something that you must seek, but it is also original to you. As a child of God, you need to reconnect. Thought is through thinking. It is a process. It is not from awareness or wisdom. Through the process called thinking, the root seed manipulation was planted in Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden by the serpent. The serpent also was seen as the light energy, the serpent eating its own tail, or the O of the infinite loop or trap. So the serpent, also known as the patron of thinking. Patron means someone who has the right to appoint or bestow a certain privilege or power. So if the patron gives privilege, that would be positive origination. So that is the proton. The proton would be the equivalent of the father aspect of the energy.
That's
When
it, Lori.
Eve gave up the apple, the fruit or the light, thought was born into them, and with that was the birth of the ego. As soon as this took place, they realized that they were naked and hid from the Lord. Now we are to be born in sin through thought and ego. So if we look at the matter of this planet, we look at the cells, and if God is in all things, then we may look at this as a micro aspect of creation through a cell, and then there would be a macro explanation of creation also. The seed or the son of the Father is neutral. The neutron, it is open to all potential. It is positively, it's proton, it's positive. Through the group of thinkers, they wanted to control this neutral power of all potential. So they decided to think of a way to do that. The primordial soup, and they started the primordial soup of the universe is energy and neutrality. So they were finding a way to harness it. Without movement, energy, this soup would not be able to be seen with human eyes. In this reality, without movement or energy, the Father, Son, proton, and neutron lie dormant.
Uh-huh.
Be still and know that I am God. That's when they're in a
Mhm.
still point
Mhm.
position. So
Mhm.
looking at all this, the dormant and the neutral energy, the group of thinkers wanted to take control of this thinking process so they could reproduce itself over and over again. Hence, this could be also associated to reincarnation. They would have to reproduce this over and over again until it reached its final conclusion of total submission of everything unto them. They controlled
Yeah.
this energy that they would need. To control this energy, they would need motion and vibration. This created the electron. The electron, or L, the electricity, or the elect lady. Every one of our cells has an electron, and the electron is 3. This is the trinity of thee. This is the light, and it is much smaller than the proton or the neutron. And the 3 ladies swirl around the Father and the Son and create all of matter. The 3 ladies, or the 3 elect. The 3 ladies make up the womb of protection for the seed of the Father, so they can grow and reproduce another one just like itself. over and over again. This is the serpent eating its own tail, the trap or the loop or the Ouroboros. The womb of the nuclei, the nucleus, is the womb, the birthplace of the neutron sun seed within the womb of the mother. The mother we will call matter through induction. So the womb of the mother is the womb of matter. The new clay of us was born through the interaction between the nucleus and the electrons. So the father would be the proton, the son would be the expression of that being a neutral position as the neutron, and then the three elect ladies represent the electrons that form matter. This is false light.
Yep.
Matter is what occupies space. Even through this mother electron is only a thought. From the group of thinkers, it orbits the father and the son at the speed of thought, thereby occupying space while conjuring up the illusion of matter. And then that's when I wrote the flower pattern, and then that it was the hex, and that the hex was done through genetic blending or sex. So the father and the son are being orbited through creating matter through the three elect or the electrons. And God doesn't think. God knows. Do you see? God only knows. Matter is a process of thinking, of thinkers. And this is a product of the fallen. And this is why we were trapped into the six, or the hex, or the sex. The human now is hexed, cursed, and born into sin. And sin, was told to me, was Satan's interference with nucleic acid, which formed the six, the new pattern of the molecular structure, which was producing the new clay of us. And this is how the new atom was born.
Yep. And when did you get this download?
In 2012, I think.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Wow. Goes back that far.
It was a mixture of reading the Bible and reading the tablets of the Emerald Tablets of Thoth and the Nag Hammadi. And I just started putting all these pictures together through all these stories, and I was seeing it done in a molecular structure, and I was seeing the geometry, and I was seeing that Metatron's cube was a super big trap for the light workers.
Yeah.
And it was freaking me out because I was like, holy crap, man, this is a lot of people are into that.
Do you think you were responding to the shift that occurred 8 years ago? There were events that caused a major shift 8 years ago.
Yeah, I do.
So that's when
I actually
activated.
Well, I was working for almost 10 or 15 years at that point in 2012 on connecting the original crystalline organic grid of Mother. And I've been working on that for 35 years now. So I've been doing this for a while.
You must have been talking.
Yeah, hearing the importance of this shift in geometry. And I think that's what this new solar light, this flash is going to do. It's going to recode the geometry, and it's going to fix it.
Okay.
And Earth is going to go back to the garden, baby.
Okay. So Brian, so you and Brian must have had some discussion about this.
Oh yeah,
because
we would have.
This is what he sent me. This is what he sent me, Brian Barnett. Okay. He wanted me to find the source of this, to translate it for him, and I did. It's on a Kindle format. Your current structure will be challenged and compromised while you are observing a negatively focused, self-seeking, materialistic world. You can hardly conceive of the physical, intellectual, and spiritual attainments that characterize the highly evolved order you are moving into. All divine work is gradual and natural. Your Earth atmosphere is changing so that it may naturally release the old programming and give birth to a new and a more evolved species. Thank you, Brian Barnett. As the celestial gardens hold their rhythmic frequencies, your sun will move into a new position along with a transformational energetic field. Your sun and moon cycles will change and begin a new spiral movement. Energy can never be destroyed. It can be recreated. It is of this point of recreation that we speak. The light source will shift into the next rate of calibration. Your scientists have evidence of the emergence of new star systems and their original and different interactions. There are no telescopes to measure these developments, which can only be perceived in your third dimensional reality after they are complete at the source. However,
You know what's so interesting?
Yep.
What used to bring that conversation up with Brian and I a lot was when I was trying to figure out that cutting myself out of the serpent thing. That flipped me out, you know? And I was like, what the heck? And then that's when I started understanding it. Sin means skin you're in, because it's been manipulated, it's been hijacked, it's been tweaked and messed around with. And I kept hearing that this was the restoration. This new purple light was going to restore the original organic codes of the original gardens of Adam and Eve. Like, the big trees are coming back, the canopies that used to protect the whole earth. We used to talk about this because when that child told me about that new light and all the rainbow animals, like the animals are going to get rainbow colors and we're going to start giving new colors out of our aura. And I saw this beautiful recoding of matter and I was trying to make sense of it. I'm like, how could that be? And then I started looking at the geometry and the Metatron's cube, and the cube is a hex. Because it's a box. You're stuck in a box, baby. Circle that freaking square. We got to go to 8. We got to go the infinite. We got to go to the original codex from our Mother Earth and wake that shit up. And it can be done with this new light. It's going to do it through transmutation. Energy can only transform, can never die.
Right.
We're going to transform matter. This is a big deal, and it's really awesome. So, yeah, Brian and I used to discuss this a lot, and that this cutting yourself out of the serpent was exactly that. It was changing the geometry of the skin you're in, which meant a recoding of the entire earth.
Yep, I believe that is true.
And light can do it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
In the twinkling of an eye.
Like that. Like that. Yeah.
You're muted.
You're muted, Jules.
The one more point that he had for this was the repositioning of Earth's orbit and planetary alignment is essential for the implanting of the new encodings brought forth by the human presence of your divine creator and the creator energy. These colossal shifts have triggered the Earth energetic grids to split. The layers which frequencies resonate with the universal truth will remain and reunite with the whole, while the energies in disharmony will disintegrate and permanently self-obliterate. See, that's the dream. That's why he said, go get this. I had to find it. I hadn't been in it, hadn't thought about it. It was in my Kindle files that I had archived after he ascended.
Yeah, well, and we would talk about my vision of the bifurcation of Earth, and it would freak me out because I thought everybody died and stuff, and then I was like, everything came back new. But then there was an understanding that the original third dimensional, that was going to still exist. And it was so hard to wrap my brain around how we could be existing at the same place, on the same planet, on the same frequency, and then through this transition, it would gently pop apart. But I was shown that when it literally like popped apart, we still wouldn't really know. It would still look very similar to the reality. And then over time, you start to see the falling away and the differences of the vibration and the new earth expressing itself and coming into manifestation and policies and everything changing on the earth. And that was what brought back the new song. But then I saw the other part. It would go on its path towards a more transpersonal, more new world order, more technical space and the final frontier, more stuff like that. And that was their path that they were supposed to experience. So, so what you choose now, it really is going to matter with where you go. It really will matter. So you really will be making a choice, and it's in your heart, and it's in your energy field, and it's going to be expressed through the light that you're going to be able to hold in your body or not.
Yeah. And that's going to happen mostly in 2023, because that's when the two lines will collide, and they will be right on top of one another.
Now,
and it's going to be order out of chaos. Yep. We're going to either, you could look at it as ascend, or you could look at it as rapture, because like I wrote in chat, we will be going up, up, and away. New heaven, new earth for us.
Yes, I do, Jojo. Thank you, sweetheart. I do. I certainly do. Now, Paula, some say that this timeline that people are talking about, which goes by the Mayan, by the way, and Aztec calendars as well, 2022, is actually going to happen sooner, because the events have become so intensified. The red spiral, the fallen ones that are, excuse me, I am having
running the show. Yeah.
Yeah. They're the ones that have accelerated this whole thing with the pandemic, the vaccines.
Well, Bible calls that the quickening.
Yeah. So we might actually see that intersection or that crossover sooner rather than later. How do you feel about that, ladies?
I'm okay with it. Bring it on. Yes.
You see it coming sooner? I see it coming a whole lot sooner.
I've always been shown by the Lord when I was little, because I would ask him when I was older, not when I was super little, but when I got older and I started to understand more about religion, and people would tell me stories, because a lot of my friends went to church and stuff, and I loved to go to church camp. So I was all about that. So they would tell me about the second coming, and I would ask him, it's like, are you really coming? Are you going to come back? And he was like, of course I am. And I was like, wow. And he's like, but it's not going to be the way you think. And that's when he explained to me that there would be many Jesuses, because it was a way of being, it being what you are, accessing the power
Through
that is
you. It's the energy that's you. Yep.
Yeah. And really healing people and healing the earth and healing and doing the magical things that you can do. And all of us have special talents that are unique to you. So none of us are going to do it the same way. So don't look towards anybody else. Look into you and say, what are my gifts and my treasures? Because I've got something that nobody else does. And so do you. You have something that no one else does. We're all very, very beautifully unique in our frequencies. And when we come together, oh my gosh, it's going to make that sound on the earth, and it's going to have a song, and that's going to be game over, guys. We win.
Yeah, God does send his saints to do his work for him, to prepare the way.
Right.
Yeah,
it comes through us.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
I have a feeling that he knew, Brian, that he wanted us to go through the higher minds readings. He had us do I Am, I Create. This was the third book on his list, because I never had a chance to really look at it until a couple of days ago, because I'm like, what is this about? Why am I being pushed in this direction? So it feels like I'm being not pushed but led to. So I flipped through it a little bit, and I'm like, oh, of course. It's got a whole set of understandings of what we need to be thinking about as a group once the split does occur, how to live. Suggestions on how.
That's the seeding we keep seeing. We're going to be the seed planters. We're going to seed more organic way of life on this planet. Start to honor that and plant.
I think he was trying to get us ready. That's what I think.
Yeah.
I think he saw this, read it, and said it's time to get us, and he's trying to get us ready.
Right.
So I think we should pick it up and occasionally do one section at a time.
Yeah.
So why don't we talk, as opposed to sitting here just reading a book for an hour? I know other channels do
We
that.
can read a chapter or read a part of a chapter and then discuss it and then keep on going. Absolutely.
Yep, I like that.
Yeah, because I think folks kind of need that, because things are happening so rapidly. And Jules and I had this conversation. There's some people that already know. I know my knowing. I know what I need to do. And if somebody asks me, sure, but I'm not. I'm going to be quiet now because I've shared all this. But then there's newer ones coming along. They're going, "What the hell's going on?"
Yeah.
And they're just more
Imagine
confused
waking
than I
up.
was. Yeah. Can you imagine
Could you
waking up in the
imagine?
middle of this? So
That's going to be tough.
Yeah, too tough.
yeah. And Brother Barnett, from the short 4 months that I knew him, I got enough out of that relationship to know he's all thinking ahead. He was all about lifting people up and getting them to a positive, higher, let's think about this,
Higher consciousness, not
higher
necessarily
consciousness.
mind, but higher
Yeah.
consciousness.
Higher
Yes.
consciousness.
And
Preparation.
you know what's profound too? I saw that happen.
Yeah.
I watched Brian do that. And if you guys remember when he said he felt his heart chakra blow open that night and he almost thought it was going to kill him?
Yeah. Yep.
He really did. And from that point forward, Brian was going up the higher chakras and he was getting so many downloads and so much information and experiencing the geometry. He told me one night he got out of body and he was geometry and he got to see everything in geometry.
There you go.
It was so beautiful. I was like, I saw that too. And we would I was like, isn't it crazy? And it moves and it breathes and it can make babies. And he started laughing. He goes, yeah. And we were like, just having a great time, sharing how, well, I saw this. And he was like, well, yeah. And I saw this. And, we didn't see it exactly the same way, but we both saw similar. And I think that's 90% of the problem is we really need to start to have some room for understanding that we're all going to grasp it a little bit different. We're all going to experience it a little bit different. But the core truth of the essence of the message of the energy is always consistent. And that's what's important, is that there's consistency through it.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Well, Jules, my dear, and Brenda, I don't know if you're welcome to just wave your hand if you have anything to say. And Jules, you've been absorbing this tonight. What have you?
Well, I was going to do something special, but I'm just going to sit here and absorb some more. But with the sounds, do, re, mi, fa, so, la, si. Remember, girls, we did this a few months ago. SI was taken out.
Yeah.
Now, when you look at the word, the letters SI, that is the symbol for silicon. There's 2 letters to do with sing. There's so much if you go and look at the SI tone or sound. Also, talking about the cube and the box, that's what that mortarboard is when you go to university.
Yep.
And that box they go and walk around at Mecca, it's the same thing, and the same as what records when you get on a plane. That's that box.
Yep.
So get out of that box and become a spiral.
Become geometry.
Did Sister Mandy ever get an answer to her question? She asked twice, why is it called the Krystal spiral?
You know what my intuition says about that? Because that is what that's why I named my daughter Krystal with a K. Kara, Dala. Those are the ancient, that's the ancient sound. Kara, Dala, Ta. Yep.
It's in my book, but I've got it as instead of HA. It's got it as.
And
like I said, we get it all a little different, but we're still getting the same information.
Yeah, and in ancient Aramaic, which is the language believed to be spoken by Christ, Jesus, who had the Christos in him, his name was not Jesus or Jesus, was it? Okay, so people referred to him as Christos, but they didn't spell it Christ. That's a Latin, is it not? Latin to English translation. Wasn't
First
it
name of
always
Jesus I thought in the
Christoi,
Bible
Christoi?
wasn't the first name was Emmanuel. I
Emmanuel,
was
but then how did it become Christoi
well, do you know what
during the Greek?
Emmanuel actually means?
The Greeks.
Well, do you know what Emmanuel actually means?
God
God
within us,
with
doesn't it?
us.
That's
Yeah.
right.
God,
Emmanuel, and man is hand, which we've been
Yes.
given to use.
God with us. That's why Jesus, he is us. It's in you. This is what we gotta get to, is that he came
It's
to
us.
show us how to access what we already are. And we need to remember what we are capable of. Because if we do, he laughs and he says, game over.
Yeah.
I mean, like, no problem, guys. Come on.
Now
Get going.
these ley lines, these traditional ley lines and gates and crystals that some are saying crystal grids in our planet, people are saying are not active anymore. And yet we have evidence that they are extremely active in certain locations, particularly in ancient Egypt, the area of Giza and Luxor. They're very active. And they're also active through the song and the ley lines in Australia, are they not? So it's not that they've gone dead. They're just, it's now's the time they've been I think they've been active. We just have lost the ability to know how to tap into them. So I think it's all part of, and that's us, right? So we got to kickstart us to get ready, because we're going to need that boost. We're going to need that communication and that energy once this separation occurs.
And tap the thymus. Tap the thymus.
Yeah. I looked up the baby name meaning of the word, and it says ice. And the guy said in the video that the red line was like the fire, so this is the whole fire and ice theme.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Remember, water holds memory, and
yeah.
And yeah, it's all to do with water, and it's look at the word emerging, mere. I'm water, sea. Immerse is I'm the water, sea. When you merge together, when you immerse together. Oh, so much. I was going to do a skit as a pirate, and I was going to do all water things, but I'm not really up to dressing up now.
That was at 5 o'clock this morning. She sends me a picture of her at 5 o'clock this morning. And she's dropping these little hints like she's going to do something. I'm like, okay, I know, Jules. I'm going to go along with this.
But it's like you go with the flow.
She sends an eye patch, a woman with an eye patch with a wink, and I'm like, oh, she's going to be a pirate.
And
then all of a sudden she comes up with a video, and she's got this wig on, and she's got the pirate, and she's like, "Ar, ar, ar." I'm like, I knew it. 5 a.m. I'm like,
yeah, well, that was then. So you got to go with the flow, and at the moment this isn't the flow, but it was to do with water. That's like riding the high seas and riding the ocean wave. But I can still do the little story though. Yeah. Why does a pirate wear a patch over its eye? Why does he wear a patch over his eye?
Because his bird pecked it out when he looked at him?
No. What it is.
Mine would.
Right? So because you're working for the crown, against the crown.
Yeah.
So when you go into the ship at night to collect the jewels, the patch over the eye, you take it off and you can see all the pearls of wisdom.
Ah.
Now there's a lot hidden in that little message.
Yeah.
Oh,
including his eye.
my parrot, if you turn and look at her, she doesn't like a direct on. African grays do not like direct on. They like you just look at them from the side. So when you approach an African gray, you approach them like this. You don't approach an African gray. If you do, they go.
No, but
Lucky Stone says pirates wear a patch to see in the dark.
that's right. That's right. So when you take it off, you can see in the dark. That eye's used to being in the
Night vision. There you
in
go.
the dark, guys. What eye is used to being in the dark?
Right.
Third
I
eye.
don't know.
Yeah.
That's right.
Miss Brenda, do you have anything that you've been quietly, patiently listening to all this about?
She's been absorbing.
Talking about your son and
I've been absorbing everything, and I'm just amazed. And I've been going back and watching a lot of Brian's videos, and I suggest that everyone that's coming into this new tribe to go back and listen to his shows.
Absolutely.
Because it's just something new all the time, and I'm just amazed that the knowledge comes out of those shows, especially when you hear them over and over like that. So I suggest that people that's coming in now to go back and watch those shows, and this is amazing.
That's not a bad idea. What we could do is we could actually the videos are still out there.
Yeah,
Are they
Milky
under
Way Messengers? Yep.
Are they under
yeah.
Milky Way Soul Tribe or Milky Way
Messengers?
Messengers.
Yeah.
So we should add a link. Get Robert to do it if he wants to, and we'll put one in here on our YouTube description page or whatever.
Who are newly awakening right now. It's really important to go back on these channels and go back to their older stuff, because boy, most of the people started their channel when they were literally starting their awakening process. So it'll just take you through the whole evolution of how these different transformations happened with people, and even like watching Rex Bear and Jeff Daugherty from the old days. You really learn a lot, because wow, there's so much about these processes that are there for you to learn from. So if you're new, go look at the older stuff. It will be so important for you as newly awakened.
Yeah, it's not all his stuff, but plenty of it.
Oh yeah,
because he lost some. Go ahead, Brenda. Sorry.
He did. No, that's okay. And you talk about him a lot on your shows and everything. So it would be good for people to go back and watch his shows.
Absolutely.
And get to know him that way. So
that's a good idea.
Then you know what our process is, because we watched it and experienced it and learned from it. That's why we're doing what we're doing, is we're carrying that message on. So
it's true.
That'd
be a good way.
Beneficial. Yep. Agreed. I put that link in the chat for you folks. Milky Way Messenger. There it is under Andromeda 7 for you. Okay.
Ken asks, Trina, Ken's asking, and Joel's, and keeps bouncing on me, is the feminine of the Krystal Sophia, the conscientiousness? Jesus said he was the light, and the word Sophia is known as wisdom. Yeah.
I would think so. Yes. I think it's his other half, because all of the divine beings are androgynous. They hold both. Yeah. So this would be the masculine and the feminine part of the Christ, which would be the Christ and then the Sophia. Yeah. So they call her Christ Sophia. Yeah. Yeah. Christ is her masculine aspect, and Sophia would be her motherly aspect.
Yeah. Yeah. If there was a way for us to replay periodically, somebody grab a Brian Barnett video and post it.
I know you can share it, but I don't know. I know Robert had some problems with that. But if they,
I know he pulls from them because he puts them in his trailers.
Right. If they would just go out to the YouTube channel. Milky
I
Way
put the
Messenger.
link that I had to his channel in there too.
I go out every day and listen to a different show, and it's like I'm saying, it's just so much stuff just keeps coming out every time I listen
Mm-hmm.
to each
Yeah.
show.
Isn't it interesting how now when you rewatch it, Brenda, how you're absorbing it so much more and you're having an understanding of it, as to where when you first started watching it, you kind of were like, okay, not quite sure what's happening.
Maybe it didn't stick.
But it just, he's very good at clarification on things and then taking it to the next level.
But you know, we were just mother and son, and we didn't discuss a lot of this stuff.
Right. I know that. Yeah.
And to go back and listen to his shows, I was just like, oh, that's my son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
You've got to see through watching his videos a whole nother side of him that was growing and evolving right before your eyes. And you just loved him the same way as he was yesterday, as today. And that consistency was such a strong foundation for his ability to move through this different awareness that he was going through, because boy, your love was so strong and solid for him. He felt he could try and explore anything because he knew that he had you. So Brenda, you were such a big part of this, and you didn't even know what a big part you were. But boy, you were, because I'm telling you, he found the safety in the net of your love. So thank you.
You kept him grounded.
Appreciate it, Brenda, very much.
You're a good mom.
Yeah.
And a good person.
Kids don't get to that level without.
He was good. He
folks.
was so good.
Yes, he was. And is.
Thank you all. Thank you all for the love.
Oh, Brenda, you know.
Thank you for being in our world.
Family. You're in our. Yeah.
It's an honor.
So.
It's a great honor. So. Yeah.
And I think he wanted you with us, sweetheart.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
I just want to thank the panel tonight for everything, and your participation at the last minute pulling this together. We greatly appreciate it. And
thank you, Trina.
Thank you, Trina, for stepping up and suggesting it. Because I was just sitting there floating with these pieces.
I'm so happy she did this.
Very grateful for that. And we had some folks that came in. Deplorable duck. Now that's a really cool deplorable duck. We have a bird banger. Now we have a deplorable
bird
duck.
banger.
Yeah, Claudette, good to see you. And we had so many people jump in. Lucky is in here, and Steve showed up. Slightly slanted sleuth. And Aeon.
Hi, Aeon. Oh, that's
Aeon
my brother's
Tupper.
son from South Africa. I love Sean.
Awesome.
There you go. Well,
Yeah.
anybody that we may have missed, Dark Truth, you know, folks were popping in during that. It's kind of hard to break.
Love you,
say hi.
Dark Truth.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you so much,
you guys
chat
are
room.
awesome.
All right. So we'll see you Wednesday, because we're going to do an Esoteric Egypt with Dalibor on Ormus.
Yeah.
It's going to go all the way back to how it was originally produced in Egypt and Arabia to what it's evolved into today.
Yeah.
With some of the experimentations on different ways to produce the white
He actually
powder.
makes his own. Yeah.
Yes, he makes his
Yeah.
Creates his own.
So there's some history behind it, and some you got to be careful how you make it and what your intent is that goes into it.
He'll tell you why.
Yeah.
It's all about intention, guys.
Yes.
That's on Wednesday.
Yep.
Yep. And then on Friday, we'll have Mihal back from Israel.
Yeah.
She's got a new program for others about helping you get to where you need to get to with manifesting. But instead of using the word manifesting, it's just creating what are the roadblocks to creating that some of us are running into. And I'm like, oh, geez, I don't know. We're getting ready for a major shift. And there's all these eclipses with the sun and the moon, and they're wiping your energy. Gee, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right?
Boy, if you ever felt like a warrior, now is why I feel like a warrior, is just getting through all of this
I went
stuff.
to my blender this morning, and I was blending.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I was going to use my blender to make my own juices. And I'm looking at it and going, "That's my life right now."
Yeah. Yep.
Guys, that's so crazy, Teresa. When I was little, Another one of the visions I had was the Lord showed me the earth, and it literally dropped it into like a spin cycle, but it looked like a washing machine, like not a blender because it didn't chop it up, but it spun everything really fast.
Yeah.
And then I saw 12 brand new earths shoot out, like 12
Dang.
babies. I was like,
Wow.
and I was like, it was a whole new zodiac wheel with a
Wow.
whole new thing. And I was like, wow, that's kind of cool.
Yes, that's what it'll be. New heaven,
Well,
new earth.
The
Yep.
sun will come from the west.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
glad. I'm very glad I've made my choice, and I know where I'm heading, and it's
Oh,
with
yeah.
most of
Yeah.
you,
Mhm.
because you've, you know, we're all together in this. That includes you, Sister Brenda.
Mhm.
So I know where we're headed, and I know where we're going.
Yeah.
You know, so I feel great about it, and I'm not scared of it. I'm just like,
Me too.
want to get the word out to other folks, like, you know.
Right. Yep. Just
And we
embrace it.
don't-
Yep.
Yep.
We don't have to worry about the ones that we haven't been able to collect
No.
and
Right.
take with us
Right.
on this trip, because they will still have their day when this all comes back around again.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
Yes.
yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Yes.
You don't get it this time. There's always next time.
There's always next time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, love you, everybody. Thank you
Love
very much.
you.
Take care now, and health and healing.
Thanks
to
for being
everyone.
with us. Much love.
Bye bye.
Yes.
Peace out.